and welcome back. Now that we're aware that we have a serious problem, let's see what we can do to solve that problem. The main pillar of obesity is an unhealthy diet. This is why it is very important to understand what healthy food is and how to prepare well-balanced meals. From the moment your children are born, they depend on you for food. The food you provide directly affects their physical and mental health and well-being. The health of your child is your responsibility. The responsibility of the food industry and the manufacturers is to present you with a variety of appetizing options. They're interested in making profits while keeping the costs low for you so they have return customers. They're not concerned with your health and well-being. Your child's health and well-being are your responsibility. Therefore, it is important to understand what processed foods are, how to avoid them, and strive to provide more balanced home-cooked meals. Home cooking provides us with the freedom to select the ingredients and the ability to control what goes inside the growing children's bodies. Dedicating even just a few minutes to put together a meal for your child shows them love and care. That is not to say that parents who rely on prepackaged foods or fast food options don't care or love their children. Many parents are not aware of the severe consequences some food choices can have on their children. Many people still believe that eating sweets, junk food, and drinking soda is something that we can somehow magically outgrow, and then we can grow up and develop better habits. Sadly, this is not the case. The good news is that we have the opportunity to change our diet every time we sit down to eat a meal. Food and the preparation of food is not just about nutrition. Food is so much more than nourishment. Through food, we share cultures, experiences, we show that we care, we communicate with each other. Food brings us together. The preparation of food can also be a collective activity. It can provide you with plenty of teaching moments and bonding opportunities with your children. It can create a healthy relationship with food and inspires us to take better care of ourselves and each other. So what does a healthy diet for your child look like? First, when many people hear the word diet, there is always a negative connotation. The word diet simply means a way of eating. A healthy, balanced diet is one that includes a wide variety of nutritious foods. Before we learn how to create balanced meals and combine foods, let's find out what food is made of. Almost any food you eat is mostly water, especially whole foods. Some fruits and vegetables are as high as 99% water. The bulk of the solid materials consists of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. If you could remove these materials, you will be left with small residue of minerals, vitamins, and other compounds. By now, you're probably puzzled, thinking, wait a minute, if it's mostly water, then how are we still gaining weight? The answer is processed food. What is processed food? Let's start with what it isn't. Natural foods and whole foods are close to the form they were created, going through minimal or no processing before consumption, simply meaning nothing bad has been added and nothing good has been taken away. Processed food, on the other hand, goes through multiple processes before it ends on your plate. Generally, water has been taken away, which shrinks the size of the product and leaves you with fats, carbs, and proteins. Often, fat, sugar, and salt are added to enhance flavor and for preservation purposes. Often, in the processing, fiber is lost, which means the bulk has been removed, and you end up with smaller amount of product that packs in large number of calories from fat and sugar. And because the amount is small and doesn't contain much water or fiber, you end up consuming more of the product to satisfy hunger, which packs on even more calories. Processed foods are calorie dense but nutritionally poor, meaning, yes, they contain carbohydrates, fats, sugar, salt, but they're missing crucial components like fiber, antioxidants, phytonutrients, vitamins, minerals, and water. So try to avoid processed foods as much as possible. Now let's learn how to put together a balanced meal for our kids. Start with the plate size. Choose smaller plates. Research shows that people who eat from smaller plate sizes end up consuming less calories. Do the same for beverages. Select smaller cups. Here is a little trick if you're trying to reduce sugar intake in your child's diet. For beverage, water is always recommended because it is the best drink in the world. But if your child asks for juice, here is what you can do. Let's say you want to please your child but you're trying to avoid sugar. If you decide to serve juice, first, always select the ones that are lower in sugar. Let's look at two different scenarios. You can measure out about 6 ounces of juice and serve it in a regular cup, or you can measure the same amount and serve it in a smaller cup. When you offer the regular size cup, your child will see that it is not filled all the way, and he or she will most likely demand a full glass of juice. But if you serve the same amount in a smaller cup, it looks pretty full, and your child will most likely be satisfied with the amount. This is the way to trick the brain into thinking it is getting more when in reality it's the exact same amount. Start with a smaller plate. Now let's see what we can put on that plate. A well-balanced plate can look like this. It is divided into 3 sections. Start by filling approximately half of the plate with vegetables and fruits. Fill about a quarter with whole grain products, these are your carbohydrates, and about a quarter with protein-rich foods. Add a glass of water or sugar-free drink or plant-based milk to complete the plate. Of course, not every meal will look the same. Some meals, like soups, stews, curries, or casseroles, are not clearly divided this way, but they should all have the same balanced meal components. Keep in mind that a balanced meal is not just about nutritional components. If you dedicate a half hour to make a meal for your child and sit down to share that meal, you are giving them so much more than just food and nutrition. You create teaching opportunities, bonding experiences, healthier living, and you also foster a good relationship with food. So where do we start? Begin with covering half of the plate with fruits and vegetables. Don't start with a protein or grain. Think of it this way. Start by thinking about what you can create with the vegetables. Should I make a vegetable stir-fry or steamed vegetables with some kind of a sauce on top? Perhaps a salad can be my vegetable. After you figure out what you're going to do for a vegetable, then think about what could go well with that. Maybe a quick fish you could bake, or grilled or boiled chicken, maybe some tofu bites or edamame. And after that, think about the starch or the grain that's going to go well with it. Here you want to select more whole grains. For instance, try to pick wheat pasta over white pasta, or you can use brown rice instead of white rice. Maybe choose quinoa or even explore other grains that are less common but much more nutritious, things like bulgur, barley, millet, and others. Go unprocessed as much as possible with children. You want the meal to be fresh, attractive, and perhaps even come up with a funny name. Let your child participate in the cooking or dishing up the plate. Children are more likely to cooperate and eat the meal if they were a part of the preparation process. It also gives the child a sense of responsibility and independence. Remember to make mealtime family time. There has been a lot of research about the importance of family meals and how children who have family meals do better in school, they do better socially, they're more willing to share thoughts and problems. Remember that we're serving our children more than just nutrients. Now let's break down the components of a meal, the nutrients and how to recognize them. Try to select more whole foods. Choosing whole foods matters more than worrying about what your child's intake of protein, carb, and fat. Most of us recognize carbohydrates as grains, foods like breads and pasta. Carbohydrates are generally divided into 2 groups, simple and complex. Carbohydrates are made up of 3 components, fiber, starch, and sugar. Fiber and starch are complex carbs, while sugar is simple carb. Depending on how much of each of these is found in the food determines its nutrient quality. Common simple carbs added to food include raw sugar, brown sugar, high fructose corn syrup, fruit juice concentrate, and more. Try to avoid simple carbs. These are foods like soda, fruit juices, baked goodies, pastries, packaged cookies and candies, and most breakfast cereals. Select complex carbohydrates. Complex carbs pack in more nutrients than simple carbs. They're higher in fiber and digest much more slowly. This also makes them more filling, which means they're a good option for weight control. Complex carbohydrates you can include in your meals are whole grains, fiber-rich fruits, fiber-rich vegetables, beans, and legumes. Next, fats. You might be thinking that fat is bad for us. Fat makes us fat, right? Dietary fats are really important for the healthy growth and development of our children. They're especially important in brain development and development of the nerve system. They also help protect and cushion internal organs. It is important to include fat in each meal of your child, but the type of fat you select is crucial. So what kind of fat should we select? Select higher quality or healthier fats. For example, choose monounsaturated or polyunsaturated fats rather than saturated or trans fats. Some examples of higher quality fats are avocados, olive oil, variety of nuts, and omega-3 fatty acids. Avoid saturated fats and trans fats. They increase the cholesterol levels and present a risk for heart disease. They're generally found in high amounts in processed foods. Remember that trans fats are not safe in any amount and should be eliminated entirely from your and your child's diet. Next, proteins. Proteins are a really important part of balanced diet because they form building blocks of our children's growing bodies. Proteins make a large part of the muscle in our children's bodies and in ours. Proteins also have very important immune functions. They also act as transporters in a variety of different roles in the body. Many people think of meat when they think of proteins. Many of the animal products like meat, eggs, cheese, yogurt, chicken, and fish contain high amounts of proteins, but they also contain high amounts of saturated fats and cholesterol. There are also very healthy vegetable and plant sources of protein, such as beans, legumes, tofu, or nuts. Plant-based proteins also add more fiber to the diet, and they're generally lower in calories and aid in weight loss. Try to select plant-based proteins over animal proteins when possible. They're higher in fiber and essential nutrients. Moderation is key. In the United States, many of the restaurant foods and prepackaged foods come in large sizes, much larger than we need. There is a popular saying, we're overfed but undernourished, meaning we're getting too much of the calorie-dense foods but not enough of the nutrient-dense foods. One way to help with this problem is to focus on cooking homemade, balanced meals and avoid the processed foods. Homemade food, and especially treats, are almost always much healthier than any processed treat. Remember that it is the choices that we make most of the time that affect the quality of our life and health. The occasional treats can still be a part of a very healthy diet. For example, we can save the ice cream and cake for gatherings and special occasions and offer fruit treats as desserts the rest of the time. Making changes can be challenging, especially when working with little ones. But take your time and make it fun. Remember, it will take time and effort. If you want to see changes, you will have to be persistent and very patient. Mahalo and aloha.